Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Being Your Own CEO. This is a weekly success circle for solopreneurs. And we get together because we enjoy each other's company and we like exchanging ideas and information. And for me, it's all about giving and receiving support. My name is Lowell Ann, and I've been in business since 1996, helping people get where they want to go. So it's a good idea for us to just review what our operating principles are. So here goes. Relationships before business. And you get everything in life and business if you help enough other people get what they want. That's a quote by Ziegler. We stand for positive possibilities and keep an open mind. And we never sell anything we are not prepared to deliver impeccably. So we will, as usual, begin by everybody introducing themselves. Please give us your name and tell us where you are and what you do. And be sure to share with us any good news, a discovery, a win, a learning, whatever. So let's see, who shall I start with this morning? Well, Vivek, you were here first, so away you go.
Namaste, my name is Vivek. VivekTechnology.com is my website. I believe in living a simple life. I believe in thinking differently. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. So if you are struggling to find someone who can integrate and simplify your software development projects with your life, you can reach out to me. Reach my Google Plus page, and you can reach me.
Welcome, Vivek. Thanks.
And I am in UK, United Kingdom, close to London. Weather report, it has been quite cloudy since morning. It has been raining quite heavily. I did go for a walk and got completely soaked.
But a summertime rain is not so bad, is it?
Yeah, and typically it rains all year round here in the United Kingdom, so it's nothing new. Yeah.
Right. So welcome here, and thanks for all your support and help, Vivek.
Thank you.
Alana, I think you are next.
Am I on? Testing.
You are.
Okay. Alana here. I live in Ireland, and I am working on onlineincomeandresources.com. And I don't know, I suppose a success story for me this week is I am working very hard to post twice a week. That's my goal, twice a week. And if I can do that, then I think I'm going to be on a roll. So yeah, I'm working on that this week. I guess it's a success story.
Well, and I'm impressed. I publish once a week, and I know how much work that is. So I'm really impressed. Oh, nice to have you back, Ilana. Oh,
thank you.
Okay, I think, Paul, you were next.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Paul. The company's TTG International Management. And what we do there is we like to take ideas from entrepreneurs and turn them into profitable action, which is always a lot of fun when it works. And lately we've been fooling around with things called chatbots, trying to learn a little bit about those and see what applications they may bring down the road. And I live on the that fabulous island in the Pacific called Vancouver Island, just off the left coast of Canada. And I'm sure Lowell Ann will give you the weather report as she was out walking at some ungodly hour this morning, like 6 o'clock. So over to you, Lowell Ann.
Well, the sun is out now, but it was a little on the gray side, but warm. So yeah. Yes, Paul and I live in the same neighborhood actually in Victoria. So, okay, now I think Craig, you were next.
Yeah, I think I snuck in here. So, Paul, you knew she was out walking at an ungodly hour because you went out to pick up your paper in your bathrobe or something?
No, I've been stalking the whole land for years.
My name's Craig, and I'm my company is Who Marketing, and I'm in Western New York, so we're up by Lake Ontario. Not anywhere near the city. But my most recent challenge this week has been to keep the critters from eating my garden. I have a beautiful doe, white-tailed doe, that walks through my garden, walks through my backyard about between 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then she had a couple of youngsters last year, and they're both males in velvet, and they walk through about 6 o'clock and go the other way. So, and everybody stops to check out if there's anything growing that they can reach through the fence. So anyway,
are you taking lots of pictures?
oh, actually, I should be, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
No, I haven't been taking pictures.
Right. Welcome here. Good to see you.
Thanks. My challenges this week are to post once a day on all of my various sites that I'm helping people with. So.
Once per day. Oh my word.
Oh, yeah, each day is dedicated to one particular site, and so
not one each, but one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so each yeah, I try and touch everything every week. So
right on.
Today we are working on schemas, which is a fun little task.
I have the faintest idea what a schema is. I know we were talking about it in WA the other day, but I still don't get what a schema is.
It's basically machine-readable code that helps Google understand your website from the behind the
back end. Yeah. I think somewhere along the way, did somebody say to put a schema in at the back end of our images?
Schema. Well, we use usually you want to make sure that there is an alt text on the images, but schemas are for pages and posts.
Oh, okay. All right. So Heidi and Mark, I think you were next.
Yeah, I have learned a new word here of things which I don't know. Accumulating lately since I've been seriously to websites. Yeah, but my success story is that I really enjoy it to be in the Wealthy Affiliate community, and I have learned already a lot, but I'm getting aware what I didn't know and what I need still to know. But I'm so confident that I will learn that now. I mean, that I find the way to learn it, because before it was just, oh, how can I do that? And whenever I tried it out, I tried out so many things and never worked, you know, and you get so frustrated. And now so many people who are really helping. Thank you also to you. You have answered my questions sometimes. So.
But I don't always know the answer to your question.
Sort of a connection. No, we know we are here and we live with each other the challenge, let's say.
Welcome here, and good to see you too, Mark.
Okay.
And the photos, yeah, the photos. It's one of the things I really would like to learn a little bit better how to work with it, because Mark, you present yourself and I go, we have the plumber here, so you stay
I've
here.
got to talk to the plumber when they come. You bet. Okay. I'm, in case you didn't figure that out, I'm married to Heidi, and so we're here in Italy on a hot day where it's unusual in that the grass is turning green in August. That doesn't happen very often because we had a big shower recently. And it's wonderful to see the world clean and not dusty for a while. So my success is that I finished a blog today about aging that I titled Act Your Age. And that was a discovery of what in the world Act Your Age meant. Everything my mother has told me, you know. And it's certainly varied over the years. And it's really wonderful to come to a point in my life where I really finally do feel that I'm acting my age. I'm not trying to be younger. I'm not trying to be older. I am who I am, who I am. Damn it. and that's really nice. I'm here today because I think in comparison to many of you, I'm a bit of a technophobe, but I do have an interest in manipulating images and using them. So I'm going to take something home with me. Thanks.
Right on. Now, you haven't said it, but I've stumbled on Mark on Facebook. He has quite an active Facebook group on aging.
Yeah.
Which I joined and have been enjoying. So in my efforts to kind of spread my wings a little bit, I've been over in Facebook quite a bit, and I found Mark there. So.
Well, we're glad you did, and we thank you for your contributions.
So it always feels a lot better when you go somewhere and you meet somebody that you know.
Yes.
So welcome here this morning, Mark. So Jay, last but not least.
Hello, everyone. So I just have to say this, Mark, I absolutely love your shirt. It's such a cool looking shirt, which somewhat is ironic with you talking about acting your age. I think that's a young, hip shirt, my friend. So I think that's not acting your age.
Do you mean that he would have to wear something black to be acting his age?
Yeah, or taupe or brown, you know, cardigan type of thing, right? So, that's how we envision aging, right? It's like pants up to here. You know?
Yes, you're gonna find out too.
I know. Karma's horrible, isn't it? Hello, everyone. My name is Jay, and my company is Magi Studios. And we help people get started in the world of online business. I hail from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. We'll say a stone's throw from a couple folks here that are with us in the green room. And so what else do we need to say? Something about successes and challenges?
Or a good news story or something that you discovered or whatever.
Okay. Well, I'm in the process of launching 4 new courses, and I've got they're $99 courses. So it's a $99 SEO course, $99 local SEO course, $99 social media course, and a $99 Google Tools course, which covers Google Webmaster Tools and Google Analytics. It gets heavy in the details. The target audience is the solopreneur or the home-based business or someone who wants to learn more specifically about those courses or about those topics. They're very in-depth. They have videos and downloads and areas to comment on it and whatnot. So very excited to be releasing those in the next week or 2.
Oh, right on. Look forward to seeing those.
On a Warrior Forum, Jay?
Say that again?
Are you going to offer those on the Warrior Forum?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a WSO. I'm actually using software called Kajabi, and I was a little hesitant to give it a try based on some prior gurus that have kind of used it and were ambassadors of the product. But I thought I'd give it a whirl, and it is a absolutely fantastic property. It's a great piece of software. So if you have intentions of creating your own courseware and want to own your intellectual property on your own domain, not elsewhere, I highly recommend you take a look at it. It's not cheap, but you just get your ROI set in place and your break-even analysis, and everything will just be fine.
Mm. So perhaps down the road you and I could compare, because I'm creating my course in Thinkific.
Thinkific. Interesting.
Yeah. It's a Vancouver company that's been around for 3 or 4 years, and so that's actually what I spent most of yesterday on. So.
Okay.
But I do have a good news story, or I thought it was, that relates to images. Somehow or other, I discovered that there's a way to activate your camera, your smartphone camera, voice activated. So I was at Symphony Splash, and I should really tell everybody in the room here and who's watching. Symphony Splash happens the first weekend of August every year here. I think it's been going 20-some years. So what happens is they bring a big barge into the Inner Harbor, and the Victoria Symphony does a concert followed by, and in conjunction with, a pipe band and fireworks, and there are thousands of people who gather in the Inner Harbor to see that. So while we were all sitting and participating in this, of course, everybody's messing around with their cameras and doing Facebook Live and etc. But I discovered how to take a picture and voice activate it. So basically, I just open my camera and say smile, and it clicks. Or if I want to take a video, I say record video, and the video starts, which I was just blown away by. And I could understand a few reasons why that would be very useful. So anyway, that was my discovery for this week. So, well, welcome here, everybody, and I can see that there are a number of people out there in the watching, although their comments are not showing up in my my comment stream for some reason. However, we were going to speak this morning and explore modifying images, and just before we came on, somebody, I think it was Vivek, who talked about Giphy. So who wants to share what on earth Giphy is and where we find it and all of that?
Well, it's not Gimpy, it's actually GIMP.
GIMP.
Yeah, it's either the graphic, it stands for GNU, Image Manipulation Program. So it's basically a free version of Photoshop, and it has most of the same features that Photoshop has. When you talk about manipulating photographs and getting to that level, sometimes GIMP falls down, but and you have to do those things in Photoshop. But for basic image manipulation, it works quite well. It will create a JPEG or a PNG file for you, so you can have transparent backgrounds if you like. And and it's basic. It's just a basic free image manipulation program, but there is a learning curve. You have to understand layers and transparencies and things like that. So.
And there's where I have Photoshop, an early version of Photoshop, and I just find it is so complicated that I just eventually give up.
Well, you'll find the same complexity with GIMP.
Mm.
But,
you know, I personally wish I had the ability to change my eyes so that I can see the complexities and the difficulties of Photoshop. I mean, I've been using Photoshop for 10 years now, and I love it. I can whip through things very easily, you know, and I was able to pick it up and learn it quite easily. But I really do wish I was able to do that, where I was able to see people's roadblocks with it, because it is such a great asset to have for your online business. Even if it's paid Photoshop, or if you're using something called Pixlr, which is like Photoshop free online, just because it's just like I think amongst all the things, all the plethora of things that we need to do in our daily online marketing lives, I think it's image manipulation takes the most amount of time because it has the most amount of roadblocks. Because there seems to be there's so many options out there to try, use, test out. There's so many, you know, there's a variety of different things that you can do with it, and different sizes and this and that. You know, so that kind of creates the roadblocks.
Jay, I see Barbara's here, and Barbara, I think you need to mute because we're getting a reverb. Sorry, Jay.
That's okay. Yeah, so there's just so many things, and so I mean, maybe you know, if we kind of venture into the world of Photoshop in today's talk, I can perhaps walk you through, you know.
Well, I understand that there are layers, I understand the transparency thing, etc., etc. But whenever I try to go in and do any of that, it never works. So obviously, I've got a roadblock somewhere.
Can I share something bit simpler? I'm going to do a screen share and show it to you.
Okay.
Much to the dislike of Jay.
So while Vivek is doing that, I did post in the live chat, or in the group chat, a link to that free Photoshop tool. It's called Pixlr, Pixlr.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on my Google Drive now. I hope you can see that, and I'm highlighting one of the images that I have. This is one image, my image, or the image that I have used. What I typically do is right-click on this, and you can't see what I am showing, but when I right-click on that, it shows me options. One of them is actually Pixlr editor.
Really? I didn't know that.
And this is what comes up. This is the image.
It's funny because I was just going to get to that, but yeah, so that's Pixlr editor. So the interface is very similar to Photoshop. And as you can see on the right-hand side, they make their money by placing ads. And I'm of the opinion is that if you're going to use a free tool like this, click on their ads, because that helps them make money. It helps them continue to run this software. So it's just like a nice, consider it as a contribution, you know.
So, yeah, the point I was going to make was you are able to connect an app like this to your Google Drive, files on your Google Drive. So you right click on a Google Drive image file and it pops up a menu of different options. You can open it with a Pixlr or some other web-based service where you can edit pictures.
That was something that I wasn't aware that you could do.
Yep,
Certainly,
so,
I can tell you where I have the best luck is in Canva. That's it's about my speed, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think Canva's great. I think it's a great tool for very rudimentary things. I do find that sometimes it's a little bit thickly, but at the very core, I think it's a great tool. There's another one that I'd mentioned in a tutorial I did a while ago called Pablo.
Yes.
And Pablo is part of Buffer. Buffer is a social media sharing tool. They have a free image creation tool called Pablo. And it gives you the ability to use, they have like, millions of stock images that are associated with Pixabay, I think it is, that you can use, and then they have 3 different layers that you can add over top of it. One is a title, a heading, and a footer, and you can add your logo to it, and that's it. And they have filters, right? And that's it. The sole intention of Pablo is to create images for social media. That's it. Or you can of course download them, but that's the sole intention of them.
Yeah.
So, but I think at the end of the day, with all these tools, you need to take one and run with it.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you start bouncing around from one thing to another, you just lose time. Really. I'm beginning to be of that opinion when it comes to social media as well. Pick one and run with it.
Yeah.
So let's chat a little for a second. Hi, Susan. Good to see you here.
Hi.
And Barbara, good to see you here too.
Hello.
I mean, let's really talk about. First of all, why would we want to modify an image, and why is that important to know how to do? I mean, let's get right back to the basic here.
Well, I can tell you.
Go ahead.
I think one of the main reasons is one of the trends that is really popular right now on the internet is to take a picture and place text over the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
You need some kind of graphic editing tool to do that. Now, it doesn't have to be as sophisticated as PowerPoint or even GIMP or Pixlr. You can do it with a lot of very simple tools, but I think that's probably the most popular thing that people do right now with graphic editing. It's all those memes and things that you see on the internet, quote graphics, whatever you want to call them, that involves placing text on top of a picture.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, I'm getting an echo from somewhere. So, Sue, I think that might have been you, since you just turned your sound off. So yeah, and of course the other part, the other reason that I find that one needs to is, like, if you are on different platforms, they're all a different shape and different size, and therefore you need to be able to go in and resize things. So.
But again, resizing alone you can do easily online. There are so many resizing services which are free. So resizing alone for me is not the thing. I mean, I have hardly learned GIMP for the banners and for the YouTube thumbnails for the Wisdom Factory, and it was a steep learning curve, and I still, when I come back and I don't do it regularly, many things I forget. How to make, for instance, the canvas bigger and or smaller. When I have the same size all the time, that's easy. But as soon as I have to change these things, oh gosh, and I try out, and it's really not so easy.
It certainly isn't. Now, I need to ask you, can you hear that lawnmower outside? Because if you can, I'll get up and close the window. Does anybody hear it?
No.
Okay. So it's only me that hears it.
Lowell Ann, I just wanted to say that in reference to Photoshop, I was of the same mind as you, and I had a strong desire to learn Photoshop because I knew it was a very cool tool to use. And I think it all depends on how you actually learn and absorb information. So for me, I checked online. I just basically decided I needed to learn certain small things about Photoshop. And I went online and I found YouTube videos and stuff like that. But the other thing I did was I bought a book. And this is how I learn, because I need a visual reference. So once I got into this book, I'm telling you, it has saved my life. I can go back and reference it anytime. I don't have to look up the previous video I was looking at, and I absolutely love it. Jay is smiling. He agrees.
Yeah, that's exactly how I started my journey with Photoshop.
Love it.
I bought this fancy pants Photoshop tricks, for beginners, and I think I still have it locked away somewhere, and I really recommend it because a lot of the core functions of Photoshop haven't really changed that much at all. So it's worthwhile to get. And you were saying that you have an older version of Photoshop, thus you can go to a used bookstore, and I guarantee you that there will be a myriad of books that you can pick up there. So.
But I think one of the things that people find intimidating about Photoshop is all the different toolbars. Because I know when I first started with Photoshop, there were so many different toolbars. And even simply right-clicking on one certain icon that gave you 6 different options, it can be very intimidating. And that's why I think books are the way to go.
Good plan.
What about the price of the software?
Do you use Photoshop for designing new websites?
Well, it can be done. You can kind of create what's called mock-ups in Photoshop. But primarily nowadays, with themes and WordPress and Joomla and other content management systems, it's certainly not done as often. Photoshop, Adobe also has a piece of software called Fireworks, which is more kind of web-based image editing. And what you used to do with Fireworks, which used to be owned by Macromedia many moons ago. You'd create mock-ups for websites, and then you would slice them. You'd slice them into these different kind of pieces, and then you press the export button, and then what Fireworks would do is would kind of write all the script, all the CSS script, and all the HTML files, and say, whoosh, there you go, there's your website template, and you would then drop that into web hosting, and then you would start designing your website using Dreamweaver.
Wow.
So.
But you don't use that anymore.
Yeah, so with the age of WordPress and other content management systems, that's certainly a dying art now.
Wow. So this whole piece around having the right kind of an image for all of the various things that we're doing and keeping it simple, using one platform, learning it well. There is a course waiting for me to figure out how to make better use of Canva. If I could just find the time to do it.
Yeah.
Well, Ann, what I did was I learned a few simple tricks in Photoshop, and I took it from there, and I made notes as well. So That way it's not as intimidating if you can open up Photoshop and know that you can do one or two things like build a layer or something like that, or add a text box. Even something that simple as adding a text box with your domain name on it. Something that simple will give you a little more confidence.
Well, I have learned how to crop something. That's about all. And or change the size. I mean, those two things I've figured out how to do, but anyway. So we've talked about GIMP and Pablo and Canva and Pixlr.
What about Illustrator?
Pardon me?
Oh, what about Illustrator? Is that something that's like is it similar to Photoshop or?
Illustrator is what's called vector-based software. So let's say you wanted to design a logo, or let's say you wanted to design. So Photoshop is for photos. Okay, so primarily it's for editing photos and adding things on it and whatnot. Illustrator is for creating graphics. Okay, and they're vector-based graphics. And what a vector-based graphics basically means, it's geometry 101. So where you build these shapes and layers and whatnot, and you can resize it to any size you want, and it won't get fuzzy because it's all based on math, right? So, and I love Illustrator. I mean, it's such a great. And the cool thing with Illustrator and Photoshop is that you can design something in Illustrator, and you can port it over into Photoshop and put it on top of an image if you wanted to do that. Photoshop does have some features that Illustrator does, but nowhere near as elaborate as Illustrator in itself. So, so I think Illustrator is more for people who are into designing graphics from scratch and want to have it for print design, I would say, because you know, because especially the vector stuff, right? So if you wanted to build a poster that's the size of your wall, but you don't want it all fuzzy, you would use Illustrator, but not any photos inside it. Okay, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
But
I was actually just.
If you want to
go ahead, Craig.
Power wrap, you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely. Here, I'm going to show you. I'll show you what I made this actually last night. I'm happy to screen share with you.
What's that?
So.
Uh-oh. How do I turn that thing on?
Oh. We'll all mute you. There you go. So yeah, so this is Photoshop, and so basically I purchased this image. So if I actually take the layers off, I actually can get rid of this layer. That's the image that I purchased. And then this thing right here on the right, with the T, that's a text layer. So I put that there, you can see that shows up there, right? And then this is a logo of this thing that I wrote about, but I kind of made it as a perspective, all right? I made it as a perspective. And if you look here, I'll throw this in. That's the image that I turned that into there, to add that perspective into the door. So all I do is you drag it over, and then you go edit, transform. I want to add perspective to it, and then I can see how it's kind of creating a perspective for me.
Right.
So I could kind of make a doormat there if I wanted to, right? So, anyways, yeah. So that's you know the very now here's the cool thing about layers that so if I take that and I put it, you know, down here, or even here, I'll just to make the real rudimentary example. So if I take this layer, see how it's turning it on and off, and I put it behind this one, it's gone because that other layer is on top of it. Okay, so that's the core basics of layers with Photoshop. Right, because this is consider this like a stackable like the pancakes. So these are transparent pancakes, if you will, right? So if you put one over top of the other, you're not going to be able to see the ones that are behind it. Okay, but just messing around with it, you can really create some fun things. So from that to that, right?
So Jay, what I've noticed is that sometimes if I've got an image that I want to change, the layers are all locked together, and it's impossible to separate them.
Yes. So sometimes, like if the layer is locked, so you see how this one here, it's got the little lock icon?
Mm-hmm.
See how I actually clicked it? Here, let me backtrack. It's called a background. Your background layer by default is going to be locked. To unlock a layer, you simply have to click on the lock icon, and it will take the lock away, and it will actually change it into a new layer, if you will. See there? Yeah. So it's no longer a quote-unquote background layer. And then I can, if I wanted to lock the layer, I can also do that as well, right? By this tool. And when you lock a layer, so if I were to lock, let's say I'm going to lock this layer here, or I'll lock the doormat. So if I lock that layer, so now if I were to, let's say I were to move this image, okay, it's going to lock all the properties of that particular layer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am now unable to move that layer around. See, it says, hey, this you can't move that. That's locked.
Wow.
So that's how you unlock the layers. You just simply click on the icon. Now your Photoshop version might not allow you to do that. So all you have to do then, Laulan, is select the layer and then click on the lock icon. Okay. And that's it. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of great things. Like if I wanted to figure out what color this door is, I can use the eyedropper tool, and I can kind of go, all right, that's the color. And now it's been selected. I now know the color code for it. So now if I wanted to add some font and have the same font, so I would copy that. And then I wanted to add a type layer. And I'll say, hello.
Hello, world. I don't know what's going on here.
But Barbara's giving us a call here. Barbara, you got to stop pressing all the buttons.
Oh dear.
Anyway, so yeah, so lots of things you can do here. I can change the font. I make it like this. I can change the width of it. I can make this back to normal, like that. So that's the normal. So there's a kind of a Jurassic Park look to it. I can add, excuse me, I can add a drop shadow to it. So.
Well, I mean, you're showing me stuff that I got hung up because I was trying to change the color of something, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to do that.
Yeah, your palette is always going to be here.
Yes, I know. I know where the palette is. I could just not get it to apply.
Oh, I see. Okay. Usually, best thing to do is whenever you're kind of messing around with things, is create a new layer over top of it. So if I'm gonna, let's say I wanted to kind of create make all of this red but still transparent. So I would then create a new layer. So I can either go, there's a little icon here, and it creates a new layer. See right there?
Yeah.
New layer. So I'm gonna fill that layer with that red. So there's a couple ways of doing it. I can do a shortcut, or I can go edit.
You just stumbled on something by which people make money.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so there's our layer right there.
Yeah.
And it's right over top. So now whoosh, everything's gone. So if I hide the layer, it's still there. But now, because it's like we've taken a piece of paint, some paint, and kind of colored it. So we want to make it transparent. So now there's a variety of different ways of doing this. The easiest way is to change the opacity, which is right here.
Yep.
So let's say we make this, right now it's 100%, make it 10%. You can see there's a little bit of a tinge to it still.
Mm-hmm.
But a fancier way is to change the what's called the blending mode. So if I want to go multiply, so there. So now it kind of creates almost like a film, you know, using these different kind of styles, right? So kind of do that. And along with that, so I like this one, right? Kind of gives it that dark, kind of ominous type of thing, which is actually what I'm going for. But it's a little too red. So I'm just going to make it down to, let's say, 75. Now, that looks good. I think that looks good. Kind of very Eastern Bloc looking, you know. so very Kremlin type of feel to it, you know. And I can go on and on with this, you know. I can, if let's say I wanted to make their eyes more pop out a little bit, I would then take what's this called, a layer mask. So it's almost like an eraser. So I go eraser. So I'm gonna put that on top of there. See there? It's like I'm adding another piece of canvas over top of it. So now what I'm going to do is, let's see if this works. There we go. So all I'm doing is I'm kind of coloring. Let's change the brush, make it a little bit larger. There. So I'm just kind of erasing the red part. Right there. And you know, if I wanted to zoom in, I could zoom in on it. And I can kind of do this, right, and so on and so forth. So I can see what it looks like. So there, so we can clean it up a little bit. Now let's say I went like this. Oh, darn it. Well, there's undo. Or let's say I went like this and I accidentally went over there. And so all I have to do is I have to reverse this and I have to color it back in. So I can just color it back in. There we go. Done. That looks pretty good.
That's really creepy.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I wanted to go for. Job well done, Jay.
Oh, obviously, I mean, it's obvious that you've been playing with this and working with this for a long time.
Yeah, this is not my first pony show, so yes. Yeah, but it is a great piece of software, you know. And if I want to kind of like, oh, I don't know if that's any good or not, let's see what it looks like without it. All right, that looks okay, you know. And I can zoom, you know. So I mean, it really is just unlimited, right? So now I want to save it, so I go File, Save for Web. I think you guys can. Oh, you don't see it. That's funny. Anyway, so now, you know, there's another box kind of pops up, and it says how I want to save it. If I want to save it as you know, a different size, if I want to save it as a JPEG or a PNG, GIF, and so on and so forth. So just some final words on file types. JPEG is for graphics that have pictures in it, okay? PNG is typically for either pictures that have a transparent background, so that you can kind of put over top of a, let's say, dark background, and it doesn't have that white box over top of it, or for kind of graphic-based things. If you turn a like this picture that we just made, if we made it into a PNG format, the size of the file would be massive, okay? Because it's essentially mathematically doing mathematical equations to kind of determine what this is, right? Thus creating a larger file size. A JPEG kind of creates little dots, like a dot matrix. and then it's just, that's it, it's done. Okay, so just as a rule of thumb, pictures as JPEGs, graphics as PNGs.
And then only if you need a transparency or something like that in the PNG.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're most of the time going to be using JPEGs for something online.
If it has a picture in it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right on. So thank you for that. You've given me some encouragement to go back and give it a try again.
Yeah. Now I was going really fast, so I do admit that. You know, in the name of in the sake of time, you know, I was whooshing through it pretty quickly. So fortunately, this being recorded, people can kind of pause it at their will.
Go back and have a look.
Yeah.
Now for the people that don't want to purchase Photoshop or don't have the funds to do that, I would say that everything that Jay just did there you can do in GIMP, including the mask. So it's done a little bit differently, but you have the same capability, and it uses layers in it, and it has the transparencies, and you know you can put a mask in and all that stuff. So.
And that's an online program as opposed to a native one on your computer, right?
No, that's a download.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Is there a book about it, Craig?
Oh, there are hundreds of books about it. But,
there are lots of books, lots of tutorials on YouTube.
Yeah, I know that.
I put a link for a tutorial on the event page. I found it just by doing a quick Google search. So,
yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying is that's not the only one. There are plenty of them, and I haven't really seen the one I have pasted the link of, but it looks like a good one.
So I see a question that popped up somewhere. Was that from you, Heidi? What is CSS? Custom style sheet.
Yeah. So CSS is the way that your website. CSS is a typically one single file, and it controls the way your site looks. It controls which font you choose, what color it is. It chooses it could choose the space of how much space is around a graphic. So it's basically the final layer that goes out over top of your website's theme, and at the very core, it controls your typography. So size of font, color of font, font style, you know, a myriad of other things. But it basically controls the look, the aesthetic look of your site that goes over top of the graphics of your template or your theme.
Excuse me, you say it controls. Isn't it somehow you, the programmer, to control it? So I don't know.
Yeah, but you write that file. So the file is written. Okay.
Yeah.
So at which point then it changes it for you. So it's a single file. It's a single CSS file, and it's inside your website's theme. Okay. So it's kind of like it's like a little mini Photoshop inside your website. And your website reads that CSS style sheet, right? It reads that file and says, okay, Heidi, so you want your font to be Times New Roman, you want it to be 18 pixels, and you want it to be the color dark burgundy red, specifically the color code 990000. Perfect. Here it is. Boom.
Is it the part which is at the beginning of the editor? I only lately dared to click on editor and saw all this HTML.
Yes, sort of. The file name, will be style.css or stylesheet.css.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Learning.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where you have to be a little bit careful with, because
No, I don't do it, but
yeah,
learn to see it at least. You know?
I encourage you to play around with it, but just make a backup, right? Just kind of make a backup of the file, and so that way, if and when you break it, you have that backup in place. And you kind of go, okay, put it back.
How do I do that? Backup. Just copy it.
Well, one of the things that I recommend is create a dummy site. Because you're in WA now, create a site Rubik site. Just just call it HeidiTestSite.siteRubiks.com. Get a theme in there, whatever you want, and mess around with it. Try to break the site, because it's your sandbox. And go and change, maybe change the color of the font. Try something as simple as that. Now the thing with color for a style sheet, it's all defined in code. Or I'm sorry, in color codes. Okay, so I said 990000. That's dark burgundy. Black is it's always 6 digits, numbers and letters. So black is 00000. White is all Fs.
7600A is purple.
Purple.
Light purple.
I think I'm CSS Rain Man. I can figure out a lot of code.
I was going to say, it's scary that you know that.
So we have just a couple of minutes left. And Craig, you had some visuals that you wanted to share when we were talking about images. Are you able to access that reasonably quickly?
Well, yeah, I grabbed some images the other day. Let me see if I can find them here. You're talking about the game. Name that headline. Let's see.
So just while Craig is looking for that, I just wanted to add a little something about the style sheet. If you make any changes to your style sheet, each time your WordPress site is updated, those changes go away unless you're using a child theme. So you just have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, because so that every time your theme, it overwrite in most themes, not all themes do it, but yeah, most, I'd say 90% of themes, it overwrites everything because it installs a brand new version of your theme.
Thank you for that link, Jay. Well, that's a really awesome one. I'm going to put that in my favorites box for sure.
You're welcome.
Wow. I have a color picker, which is an extension that goes with Chrome.
Yeah, me too. I love that thing. Yeah,
I've used that many times to find out what color something is and match things up. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a simple little tool. Let's go desktop 2. So it's a simple little tool that Lolan is showing. It's right here. It's a little extension. So mine is called Eyedropper. So I'm going to click on it, and it says pick color from web page.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And now beside my mouse, it's my little pointer. It's got a little box. I know it's probably hard to see, but so if I say, okay, well, I want to figure out what color this is. So I'm going to click it. And now I can figure it out. It's now here on the right, it shows me the color code. So this one is FF0000, which I'm really glad that it shows that it's the same one here. So it's a free tool, and it remembers all of the colors that you pick. Right? It keeps a history of all the things that you have. So which is great. Great, easy, free tool.
Yeah,
so if there's ever a color you see on a website, you go, oh, I want that color too.
So we might, I see Susan has said her purple is 103, 13, 103. Mine is 99, 0, and 99. So maybe we need to talk a little bit about the difference between these different kinds of colors so that people kind of get a sense of that. So there seems to be two different varieties of ways to classify colors.
Yes, there is what's called RGB, and then there's hex color. So the like FF0000 is the hexadecimal code of it. The RGB version is 25500. So it's two different ways of coding it in your CSS style sheet. The oldest version, the most historic way, is using that hexadecimal version, right? The 6 digits. The newer way is actually using the RGB, and the reason why people have started to use the RGB is because they wanted to add different shades. There's certain colors that might not have a color code. It's like it might be in between two numbers, and by using the RGB way, it kind of creates more of a fuller, the exact color you want that you grabbed out of Illustrator or you grabbed out of Photoshop or whatever image editor that you want. The other thing too is that with Retina screens and high definition screens becoming more prominent in today's computing lifestyle, using these RGB kind of color codes makes it a little bit better.
Susan is saying there are 3 different ways of describing colors.
Yeah.
Hex, RGB, and
CMYK.
I've never heard that one before.
CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black.
Oh, right.
K for black. And it's a percentage mixture of each of those primary colors or core colors, right? So with CMYK, you'll see the numbers be like 52, 26, 4, and 8. That's magenta. So it's a percentage of each of those cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. It's a percentage of all of those.
That's what we used for printing, for mixing.
Correct. Yeah.
CMYK.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But with all that color discussion, that reminds me of a joke one of my friends was telling me. He was saying he is a web developer. He was asked by his client to make the blue more blue, and he reverted back to him saying that, okay, I can do it, but if I do it, will you be getting more customers? The key, the main point is, I mean, yes, we can do all kinds of things with the colors and shades, and the aim has to be to get
more customers.
You need to have a certain aim.
Yeah.
I think that brings up a really great point. Is when you're designing things like this and when you're messing around with this, who are you doing it for?
Me, absolutely me. I'm developing something with if the colors relate to me.
Exactly. So you're building your brand, right? And I think I've always for those of you who are in WA, I always express about creating a brand and running with it. And I think it's really important to kind of create a really brand. But when you start making things like, can you make blue bluer, then that starts to get a little silly, right? Then you just say no. It's the laws of physics have prevented me from making blue bluer. Unless there is a new element on the periodic table that allows me to do this, It is unfortunate that the laws of science prevent me from making blue bluer.
There's another approach to that, Jay. You can always say, yes, it can be done, and the cost is X.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, anything could be done. How much do you want to pay for it?
Yeah.
The other thing when you're messing around with all of this is just keep your timer going and bill your hours back to yourself so you understand exactly how much this wonderful expression of what you want is costing you.
Yeah. So to make bluer blue, or more, to make blue bluer, it takes more green.
If you want to take that to an extreme, I published a YouTube video there in the chat. It's called The Expert. It's a YouTube comedy sketch. I think you might have seen it before.
Yeah, I had to turn it off because it started. Got it there. So, Craig,
they talk about making a blue line red.
Before we close, would you share that grizzly again, and let's just chat about what that was about. You guys that have been on WA for a long time, you used to play a game, I think, and
one of these things is not like the other.
Well, it basically. Am I muted or not? No. Okay.
No, you're not muted.
Basically, we threw up a whole bunch of images and said, all right, what's your headline? And it kind of gives us, it's like a brain teaser to say, well, okay, I have something in mind that I want to say about this page, and I have these images available to me, so how can I use these images in this application?
I would say, are you paying attention? Anybody else have any suggestions?
Well, I was thinking of Wall Street with the bear, so I was thinking, I think when it's a bear market, it's a slow market, if I'm correct. Is that the way it works? Bear market means it's slow and...
Right.
Yeah, so that's what it made me think of. Don't fall asleep.
Bear hug. You hug it till it dies.
So I wrote mine in the chat. It says how to keep your readers interested.
You're right.
So I think the whole challenge that what we used to do is to try not to use the actual thing that's in the image within the headline, right? Try to think metaphors.
Mm-hmm. Right. So this could be a fun thing to do.
Oh, it's a blast. It's so much fun, and it also really gets those kind of your creative hamster wheel rolling. You know,
there's another one for you.
Oh God.
It's all about yesteryear.
Is your content out of date?
Update.
There you go. Is your content up to date?
Yeah, because when you're looking for images for your website, I always tend to look, go very linear. So I really that's a good way to do it. Just think outside the box and choose something, and don't use the image in your title or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So remember that Photoshop image that I was showing you, the two guys and the kind of door in the back, right? It's for a review called Warrior. The review is Warrior Vault Review, and it's a blatant scam, right? So I wanted to kind of create that visual element, right? And so that door being vault door, because it's got that big thing on it. It's red. That's what the colors of the company is. So it's just, and it had those kind of mischievous little ski mask guys, on the side. So it's like perfect.
Okay, what about this one?
While you guys are doing that, I have a question. Do you present the image and then insert the text after to give a person a little time to look at it before you put your thought into it, or do you put it in at the same time?
Are you referring to like when using the image?
Yes.
I
So
think
if
it
you were
really
to
does.
put it on, say, a website or a blog or whatever, and you had the image up there, do you allow the person to look at the image and let their mind run, and then insert your thought with a planner that goes across it, or do you just put it all in at the beginning?
I think it depends on your brand, and I think it depends on the niche topic. You know, if it's something that's blatantly obvious, like if it's a guy screaming or something like that, you know, and it's the content is about frustrations of scams online, you know, then you don't really need to put any kind of layers over top of it. But you know, in a case where, like that Warrior Forum vault, you know, people need to know about that product or that company. And if they don't, they recognize the brand. They need to recognize the logo. So in my case, I put the logo inside that image so that they can instantly recognize, okay, well, this has something to do with Warrior Forum. So in my opinion, in most cases, you want to have some sort of subtlety that you add over top of it, because it just then people pick it up quicker. Because I mean, the attention span of people online is you know,
Shorter
very
than
minute these days.
So what would you say about this image?
Dory's in there somewhere.
Say again?
Dory's in there somewhere.
Dory.
Finding Dory?
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
I know.
For me, it would be it's a mystery. I don't know what that thing in the middle is.
Something about customers, how to attract more customers, you know, how to bring a wave of customers to your doorstep.
I was thinking of, it seems to be a looming image to me, so I was going somewhere with that.
Yeah, like this would be this is you know, it's very open to interpretation, right? Yeah. So like the ominous side of being a solopreneur. So I think in this particular case, with what Paul was asking. Yeah, with what Paul was asking, that we would want to kind of put something over top of this, even a title, right?
Okay, I see we are a quarter of an hour over our hour, so this has been kind of fun. I think it would be. Oh, here's another one.
What's that?
So, but I think it's time we did close for today, and so let's wrap up the conversation. And I just want to remind those people who are outside, especially watching, to be sure to join our Being Your Own CEO community, and also you can find some supports for solopreneurs in the collections. And please don't forget to research and connect with the other members of the Green Room here. So this is Lola Ann signing off for this week.